Hey everyone, welcome to VoxTalks. Thanks so much for clicking. Today, I am joined by probably the strongest Space Wolves player I know. I've got JP. My name's Edgar Sanchez, but I'll kick it off to JP to introduce himself.
Hey guys, I'm JP here. Been only playing since I guess February, so like 1 year going on to it. Highly addicted to the game already, and just been, just grinding and grinding and grinding, which is both bad and good.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's been
absolutely.
absolutely the most fun of a year that I've been going through. So I highly enjoy it.
Yeah, JP and I have very much had, I think, like similar trajectories. I think we both started playing the game probably around like 6 months of each other. I started playing in like September, I want to say, of 24, and then I first played against you over at Mighty Meeple. When we were getting into like League, not League, it was
Yeah, I
like
think we were getting the
Escalation League.
escalation league. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Yep,
And then from there, I no longer live in the Charlotte area, but we both kind of cut our teeth together. I'm probably just getting our asses kicked left and right,
absolutely.
which is really kind of the gauntlet. That's how it all starts. But kind of getting back into that origin, that start. How did you get into playing 40K?
So I got into playing 40K back in like 40K. I was into 40K back in high school, right? Me and my buddy, we used to go to his house and we would LAN party next to each other playing Dawn of War TTS or RTS, right? And comp stomp the whole way through, just, moving and clicking, moving and clicking. And that kind of brought me into where the realm of 40K was. That was my introduction, right? And just loving that piece. Um, but yeah, like I didn't get to playing PK for until, like I said, last year. And what brought me into that is good old Space Marine 2, right? All of us start playing Space Marine 2, and my buddies back in Michigan, again, that's where I'm from, they were playing, and they were like, man, I think we should buy it. And then there was that introduction starter set, right? Right. And so one got Space Marines, the other got Tyranids, and they, tempted to play the tabletop. And I was like, dang, I don't get to play, right? You guys have fun, right? But I went back for holidays and the Christmas time, and we're in the local store, and he's like, oh, I think you should come watch. And I started watching, and I'm like, you know what? I like this game. And I remember just going to the shelves, looking at it, picking out my army, right? Going back to the lores and everything like that. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, Space Wolves are my favorite. I should start there. And then I was told, oh, they're getting a new refresh. So I was like, okay. And I was like, I don't know what that means. That's what I asked. I was like, I don't know what that means. They're saying new models, new codex. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll put them back. I'll wait. I'll wait. I pick up Grey Knights because who doesn't want to play, the demon slaying Grey Knights? And someone advised me directly not to. They're like, they're not a very good army and they might get a refresh too. And I was like, okay, all right, fine, fine. I'll move on to something else. And then Custodes, right? Just playing the good old, right? The best of the best, right? Golden Boys, there we are. Just picked them up. And they were recommended that too because it's like the easiest and cheapest probably to get into. Right? I mean, you buy 2 combat patrols and you got it all, right? You got 2,000 points or if not over, and then buy your little things here and there and you're good. Some sisters, right? And yeah, then I just got home and started painting very ugly, and it was fine. It was fun. So, and I'm glad I probably started there because truthfully, the rules and data sheets are cut and paste and copy, 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 and right, and you just learn that much kind of faster, right? Like everyone's like, oh, you just must like 4-up invulns. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but sure. And then you start playing and you're like, oh, this is what a 4-up invuln means. It doesn't die. Yeah. So it's been very fun. And that's how I got into 40K. And you
Yeah.
know what? 40K actually isn't my first tabletop. I used to play a game called Mage Knights back in the day.
Okay. Never heard of this.
Yeah, exactly. Mage Knights was like super, super small. It actually got replaced by a game called Hero Clicks. So if you ever been into a game called, or actually your local game store in Matthews, right? In the glass shelves, you can actually go there and buy a bunch of Hero Clicks there. And so that was the game that replaced Mage Knights. I actually have a bunch of Mage Knights still,
Oh,
but
no, good.
yeah, they're more better probably for like D&D little sub characters because you get like your werebear and you get like vampires and stuff like that. It was a cool lore, very cool lore, but loved it. But yeah, once I got into 40K, it was the best thing ever. So
No, that's awesome. I had a pretty similar, kind of experience where I did not have exposure to like Dawn of War, like I think
sure,
so many people did growing up. I really loved playing XCOM and StarCraft 2. Those were the games that I think naturally led my way to
right,
when I saw what this game was, I was like all in on it.
yeah, very similar. Yep.
Exact same thing, right? Like, and maybe that just makes us filthy casuals, but Space Marine 2 works.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
was so curious because I would fall asleep to the lore in college.
Oh,
That's
for sure.
like being a nerd and somebody who's chronically online, you can't not know about Space Marines.
Yep.
or at
Right.
least have a general idea of Warhammer. Like
Yep.
from the outside looking in, all you know is that it's a mile deep and goes an ocean wide. Like it is, there's
Absolutely.
so much going in with it. It is not something that's just surface level. And I started playing Space Marine 2, had such a good time with it, just like was really, really enjoying it. And I'll never forget, I actually was getting a pair of pants hemmed, and it was in this random strip mall right there in Charlotte. And when I like look up and I sit down, I just see a Games Workshop store staring at
Sure.
me. And I'm like, all right, this is like maybe a month after Space Marine 2 dropped. I decided to walk in, and really that was the start of the crack addiction,
Right.
right? Like
Yep.
the first taste was free. I only knew the blue guys. Obviously, I was like, well, these seem to be like, well supported. So I bought like just that first little starter kit, butchered some Tyranids, butchered some terrible Space Marines, and then
Exactly.
it just pretty much let it down all the way down that path. And since then, it's been really fun. I never thought I would have considered myself a painter. That was probably the most intimidating part.
You've gotten very good at painting.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
very
you.
envious, and especially I'm very envious on how motivated you are to stay painting. That's one thing that I'm always like, "Dang, how does he just do it? Like, how does he grind it out?"
Yeah, just don't look
Yeah.
too close, you know, because
Never
they're
look too
battle
close.
ready,
Hey, you
but
stand
they're
up, you just look up for the top of the table, right? Yeah.
exactly, right? But no, to kind of shift gears though, because we've talked about some of the armies we've bought. Obviously, you started with Custodes. I started more or less with Ultramarines. But what are you playing right now?
So right now, Space Wolves, right? When that new Codex and box set dropped and it looked as cool as it did, I was hooked. I was like, I need this. I need it, right? And the issue too is like, or the issue, I was just like thinking about myself. I was like, man, I'm gonna do it. But there's so many Space Wolf players in Charlotte, as you know. And I was like,
Yeah.
here it is. I'm joining them. But no, I mean, like Space Vikings were always my favorite, right? And then yeah. And then of course wolves are cool and everything else. And then Lehman Russ is a dog, right? He's a dog, right? But he's badass, and that's what really drew me into Space Wolves. I also have a collection of orcs that I don't play too often, and now I'm getting into Astra Militarum, the good old Imperial Guard.
How's that going?
It's going. I mean, I kind of had some models for a long time, and now again I'm just starting with it. And then this new 11th edition models, they look so cool, and that's where I'm going towards. But it was always an aesthetic that I just loved because it's like Starship Troopers or anything else. So you just have dudes fighting demons and monsters and everything above where they're at. And they're like, I'm going to do it in the name of the Emperor, protect me, right? But we're going to sit there with our las guns in our trenches and fire at will. And then big tanks are cool, right? The big
Oh, yeah,
tanks are cool.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
absolutely love that meme I'm seeing of like drive me closer so I can hit them with my sword.
There you go. Yep.
Like
Yeah.
it's great, and that new model range is awesome for all of the like hemming and hawing that people are doing of like, does Guard really need more vehicles?
No, right.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
always give me
Yeah.
more.
Always bring them on, right?
Oh man, so what's been interesting is I've played a lot of Ultramarines, tampered around with Raven Guard. I tried out some of their detachments. I initially was playing the old Raven Guard detachment. I think it's Shadow Point
Yeah. Something
Spearhead.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something on
Yeah.
that line. But before like the new one came out, with all like the uppy downies, and I never really had much success with them. I never could really like wrap my head around the play style, and naturally just kind of found myself playing Gladius. And then when Blades dropped, I was like, okay, this is clicking with me. But since then, I've sampled out a couple different armies. I'm mainly starting to really sink my teeth into Death Guard. It's one of those armies that kind of similar to like Custodes. You don't really need to get that much stuff,
No.
and it's a pretty elite army. And there's a great box that just drops, that Virulent Victorum box, I think it was. Well, that's the name of the detachment. But the word virulent, I promise, is
Sure.
somewhere in that
Somewhere in
battle
there.
box, right? And it just had everything you wanted.
Right.
And so from there, it's just been really fun to kind of understand like how to play with them and move forward with it. And I've really, really enjoyed it. And there's something just delightful about like these stinky boys with just such like character on their bits. Like I think the
Yep.
Space Wolves are so flavorful in
Yeah.
terms of like if you just look at a gray space wolf and the directions that you can really take that armor, it really does have a little bit more artistic expression, which I think is attractive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and jealousy here, but I think some of the most like best painters out there I've seen just being Space Wolf models and painters and stuff like that. Like the level of depth that they can get into with the fur on this, and then the cloth and the leather, and then the axes, the glow, the shields. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely love it.
you're also kind of you're suffering like the positive consequences of the local scene having so many
I know,
a
right?
great space
Yeah,
wolf players and b great painters or guys who paint those Space Wolves professionally for the said
Right.
Space Wolf
Yep.
players.
Yeah.
So you're
Absolutely.
always seeing them on the tabletop, and fur cloaks are a hell of a drug.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Kind of to go over into either your guard army or your Space Wolves army. Do you have a favorite combo right now?
I do really enjoy, again, playing Space Wolves, and then it's kind of the same thing that you're probably into with Death Guard, is that they're fun. That's kind of where I put Custodians and like pushed them. Granted, it was a good learner army, right? But those combos that you get, where it's like you had to pick your oath, you had to pick your targets, pick the stratagems that buff this. But yeah, I mean, I love playing Saga the Great Wolf. It's a lot of fun. I still think, Stormlance is, maybe better, maybe not, right? Depending on where you're at. And yeah, but I just love, like the Lancer and the Rep-X. Like I actually love the Rep-X in Saga the Great Wolf.
Okay.
Hitting on twos, +1 to wound with it, right? Which I guess if you're an Ultramarine player, you just get that in general, right?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
a little spoiled.
what is the jealousy of it, right? But it feels so strong, especially and then when it got the nerf, of course, I'm looking at the point increase. I was looking at dropping it, but every single time I'm just like running it through it, I was like, man, I miss this thing, right? I really, really miss this thing.
So let's deep dive it a little bit. What is it that gets unlocked in your detachment and how you play with the Rep-X? That what happens there?
So yeah, in the Saga of the Great Wolf, you spend right. You do the same thing. You pick a wolf pack, right? Not a doctrine, right? We don't do doctrines in the wolf, but yeah, you do +1 to hit. So instead of course hitting on threes, you go to hitting on twos, which makes you just oath independent because you don't really have to rely on those rerolls. And then +1 to wound. So I mean, you got a strength 16 2-shot gun, right? That's just pretty much always going to wound on twos, and then all the little guns on top of it, strength 4, strength 5, strength 6, something like that. And then they just go up to, wounding, T3 models on twos, wounding T4 models on threes, and then wounding T5 models on fours, right? So that level of power that you get when you just start doing the odds is really what it comes down to. And again, it just becomes that much fun with it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
there's a reason you see two of them in so many lists, right? Like
sure.
the efficiency of what that thing can do, especially because we're in such a big thing meta where one of the ways to counter it is by just throwing so many bodies, and those Rep-X's can answer the volume output, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, they
They
get the
won't.
flex. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
they won't necessarily like completely remove a 20-man brick or of course, like a 20-man
Sure.
Necron warrior brick,
Right.
but they do have the ability to really, really start chopping away at it, which is important.
Yep. Yeah. They can hit the big targets and then the little targets on the side. And that's what you really, really try and get your benefit from.
Yeah, or sometimes all you
And
really
it's a
need to do.
transport.
Yeah, death by a
And it's
thousand
a
cuts.
transport. Yep. Yeah.
Like going up against something tough with like a 2 up, 4 up, like a Magnus, for example,
Right.
when you're ignoring cover and pumping AP1, like now next thing you know, like, hey, turns out you are forcing a lot of
Yep.
saves and
Right.
you're just making them play the math game, right?
Absolutely.
Right now, so with Death Guard, there's kind of my favorite current Wombo combo. It's a three-piece investment between Mortarion and Little Morty, which is a Demon Prince, which has an enhancement in Virulent Victorum. So that way he has a 5 up invulnerable, or 5 up Feel No Pain, excuse me. And then the basically 12-man brick of Death Guard.
Sure.
And
The
so
plate
you've got
brains. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
You've got a
Yep.
benefit of cover.
Right.
You've got all of this like almost extra stratagems that are popping off. It feels like extra stratagems that are popping off from Mortarion because he has like this once per turn pick me that occurs in the opponent's phase. And then a lot of people, like for example, I played against a Tau player yesterday and I set up all 12 of my Plague Marines right in front of one of his Riptides. And in front of one of his Riptides were like, I don't know, like 20 Kroot. And he's like, "Oh, surely these Kroot are dead." And I was like, "I'm not shooting at the Kroot. These are all going into that Riptide." And he was like, "You sure? Like you're gonna be able to chip away at
Yeah.
that?" And then as soon as you start unlocking basically the free strat from the Demon Prince to get
Yep.
full rerolls to hit and wound, and
Right.
then you realize everybody is critting on fives,
Fives for
and the
sustaining and
entire
lethals, right?
yep, and the
Isn't
entire
it?
brick
Yeah.
has
It's something
sustaining
crazy.
lethals.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
It's insane.
the
Yeah.
math just
Yes.
perpetually is in your
Oh
favor.
yeah. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
there's actually quite a bit of damage too, because you've got plague spewers. There's two plague spewers each, and then we've got 3 plasma guns with rapid fire. So they're getting 4 plasma gun shots off. Technically 4, 8, 12.
Hmm.
I might actually be adding one. Actually, I think it's just 6. Excuse me. It's not 2. It's 1 to 2, not 2 to 4. Which it's regardless. It's enough to just do the thing, and it's crazy because I've punched up enough times into it where I'm really sold on it. And what's awesome about the plague spewers is that they're anti-infantry too. And so
That's
like
crazy.
on a 2 up, it's like okay, fine. Give me another put your Victor's Guard in front of me. I don't care if they blood surge because after this whole
You
brick
have
of
3
shooting,
left. Yeah,
yeah,
2, 3
they're going to
left,
be
you're done.
neutered.
Yeah,
And
yep,
congrats, you blood surged into me.
yep.
So yeah, that's got to be one of my like kind of favorite combos. Is there anything that you're discovering right now with your guard army that's
Yeah.
exceptionally filthy?
Yeah, I mean, I maximized it. I just was like, I was running only 2 of them at first, but then I was like, "No, I need 3 of these guys."
What
The
is it?
Tempestus Scions with
Okay.
the, command squad, especially in Grizzled, right? Grizzled lets you reroll ones to hit, bring them down during your, right, they deep strike, so you bring them down turn 2, turn 3, on your shooting phase or any movement phase at the end of it. You give them 2 orders because that's what they do. They come down, the officer can give 2 or like give an order, then the one guy has the command rod, which allows 2 orders, and then in Grizzled, every officer gets an extra order, so he gets to do take aim and then first rank, second rank fire, right? So now you're taking all the rapid fire shots and then increasing that by 1. So this guy has got overcharged plasmas, and there's 6 of them now, and they're re-rolling ones to hit. They get sustained. They're hitting on 2s because of take aim. You're wounding. You get to reroll the full wound reroll if they're on an objective, which most times they are, right? Or else you get to reroll wounds of 1, right? And there's strats that you combo with that where you either do lethal hits, so now you're getting sustained and lethals. You could ignore cover, so then you're ignoring cover with that 1 brick. Or I mean, at times you could probably do the +1 strength on the shooting, right? You would probably have to see if that's going to benefit you here or there. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much to do it, and then that squad is just dumping wounds
And
nonstop. Yeah,
and does that squad have a medic too, where like you revive
it has a
lost
medic
models?
in
Yeah,
the command squad. It has a medic. Yes, yeah,
as
and
someone
they
who,
have meltas,
yep,
and yeah. So I mean, yeah, just again, the 2 guys in there get 6 shots, right?
I'll put my
Yeah,
hand up as someone who's been personally victimized and
right.
wronged by that Scion brick, just dropping in and actually nuking a Rep-X.
But yeah,
It can happen. It can
it can
happen,
happen. Yeah,
and when you look it up, there's always that amazing moment, I think, for both the person playing guard and then the person playing against guard, when they just realize how well those things can be buffed up. Like,
for sure.
as a
Absolutely.
Space Marine player, I understand buffs and synergy,
Yep.
but I think once you get bored of doing that, you then challenge yourself with guard, and now the skill gap is much higher. But if you can pull off like kind of the hula hoop that you have to jump through, like the reward is that much more like fulfilling because now you've got all these like OC potentially 2 bodies that are
Yep.
like floating
Yeah.
around.
Oh,
It's just like
that's another point. They have the regimental flag, right? Or whatever.
yeah,
So Red Regimental Standard. So now all of them are OC2. You can go through and if someone if they live, right? Let's say they live, or else you put like sometimes I've been stacking like one in front of the other, right? So then it's like they charge, they hit this one, but this one's still here. I could duty and honor, and now they're all OC3 on my command phase, and
yeah,
then it's just like it's disgusting. Like
and you just
it's
you,
like what
you
is this
just flip a
happening?
point right there.
Right. Yep.
Oh
Yep.
man.
And you're bringing back dudes, and you're bringing back dudes. So
And I
yeah,
think that's kind of one of the things that, like, once you start playing the game competitively or you see that type of like capacity, you realize there's so much more layers and levels to it. And if you're not into comp, there's nothing wrong with it, right?
for sure.
There's so many ways to play this game, and there's no wrong way to play, in my opinion. Obviously, JP, you and I, we're people who like to play competitively. I'm not too, inspired to go out and play Crusades, which I think are super cool in their own right. But ultimately, if I'm going to go roll dice on the tabletop, I really love to kind of like figure out this math problem
Absolutely.
and like just the 3D chess that is occurring. So,
Yeah.
what kind of one of the things though, when since we are players who do like to play competitively, well, what's your mindset when you go to RTTs, GTTs, you have a random league game? Is it kind of just like a this is my strategies, this is what I'm going with? Do you have like a kind of a mindset you get into, or what's your approach on it?
Yeah, I would say my mindset is just go to learn, is the big thing, right? Like I said, only a year in, I think I've learned very well rapidly and then, in this competitive scene and doing just fine. But yeah, I would say that my mindset is just going to learn. If you really think about going to an RTT or a GT, right? You're knocking out 3 games a day, right, in one day, or else like 5 to 7 or 8 in one weekend, right? And you think about how many games that is of like level knowledge that you're just testing your brain and testing your list, testing your all your capabilities. That's more than most people get in a whole month
Yeah, oh,
of
yeah,
games, right? And you just did that on one weekend, right? So that's so much exposure to it, that to the game that I just really, really recommend someone that's like curious about going to tournaments, curious about this. It's like do it, just do it, right?
absolutely.
I
It's
mean,
it's a drug, man. It
yeah, and
hydrate, eat well, sleep
right, yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like, I'm usually someone who loves to have a beer when I play.
For
I
sure.
don't have a beer when you go to an RTT,
Nah,
if
you're
it's your
gonna fall
first
asleep.
one. Yeah, yeah, you're gonna fall asleep, or at least by the end, you're gonna be so
Yeah.
cooked.
So yeah, you're so dead. Yeah.
I think one of the things that, and to that same vein, right? Like I couldn't agree more. You go there to learn.
Yes.
Go there to really experience new armies. I love playing against new armies. It's my favorite thing in the world. I never have an expectation to win against a new army or the first time I'm playing against a new detachment
Absolutely.
because you have to kind of see that math problem live.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I always say I have to smash my head up against it to really, really learn because people will tell me it's like, oh, this thing, crits on fives. The first time I learned about this Plague Marine brick that was like it had the 2 liters and it's shooting at you and it's critting on fives and sixes and then it's re-rolls and this and that. You're just like, oh, shit. But yeah, once you finally figure that out, you're like, I'm going to either avoid that, I'm going to bait it out, I'm going to somehow just get that to where it doesn't become my problem like it did the last game, right? And that's just the stuff you learned, right? And you just have to go with that mindset of, yeah. Another thing is, to motivate people, it's like if you're new and you don't think you're that great, you're going to then match up against people that close to your skill level, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can go to the first game, you match up against someone that's like top table guy, you lose that, you go play someone else that just took a one loss. And then if you lose that, you go play against someone that took two losses, and then you can go 3-2 still, right? So you can balance out where it'll be where you're in the same competitive realm as what you think, right, you want to be.
Yeah. My tip that I would like to give anyone who is really seriously considering getting into comp play is, and I want to encourage this for the entire community, is to always have that competitive mindset, but a casual attitude. It took a while to kind of understand what intentional Warhammer was like. And it's weird because it's a competitive game where we're playing against each other, but it's the most cooperative, competitive thing in the world,
Absolutely.
right? Where I'm clearly like educating you and reminding you and letting you know, like, hey, here's this risk. Or I'm
Correct.
often talking like as I'm setting something up, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is why I'm doing it. Is there a weird fire and fade I don't know about? Or can your army have a reactive
Yeah.
move that's going to shut
A
this thing
blood
down?
surge or a shoot back or anything like
Yeah.
that to where, yeah,
It's not necessarily 100% on your opponent to remind you 20 times, but to definitely make sure that you're making decisions fully. Because
yep,
I think it, it
absolutely.
it prevents feel bads, which is like that's the main driver where you think you're setting something up and then turns out you can't. Where I know like all of the best players that I speak to that I have a lot of respect for, they're like, hey, A, nothing is on the line. But B, if I'm going to beat you, if we're going to play a game, I want to beat you knowing I beat you at your best. Not that I snuck something through that you didn't realize, and then I had a gotcha to my path to victory. That
Absolutely.
isn't really fulfilling, and it doesn't promote a healthy play style.
Yeah, another tip is just what I would give to new players. Just do personal research, but just watch games. Another thing too, just watch other players play. Exactly, we were talking about the cooperative play, right? I remember watching. I'm pretty positive it was John Lennon and shoot, what's his name? Liam VSL, right? Playing against each other, and this was like the pre-finals, right? So whoever won this got to the finals to win, right? Number one, right?
Yep, with this for Worlds or
This was
AT.
going to be in London.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And both of them have right, they're playing Eldar versus Eldar, and one of the worst layouts, it's like not hammer and anvil. What's the other one? Sweeping engagement, where it's like
Yep,
the
the
long
long one. It's
ways,
that sweeping
and then it's
engagement.
like
Yeah,
layout 5 or something like that. So it's like there's just no cover. And it was Eldar versus Eldar, and both of them are with their tape measures showing each other. It's like, okay, if I can go here, what can you do? And then Liam, answers a question with his. And it's like, if you're getting that level of cooperation and, hey, I can do this, you can do this at that level, then we should all be doing it at the bottom, right? Just not
absolutely.
getting any gotchas, not anything like that. So that way you get the best game possible.
Yeah, I hear horror stories of what competitive play used to be like
For sure.
in previous editions, and anyone who says that it's bad now or that's too vanilla, they can all go kick rocks, man. Like, I've heard these horror stories of just, like, the most broken, busted things that, like, there's no engagement that you could
Right.
have, right? Like, you would basically just show up and win,
Yeah.
and I don't really see much of that play style. Obviously, we'll see. I might be putting my foot in my mouth with this new vehicle detachment that came out.
Yeah, yeah. There's times that you just play a game too, and you just realize, there was really nothing I could have done or nothing that would have been right. Sometimes you just get beat, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah, but love
Well,
that piece to it.
ultimately, JP, I want to say, hey, thanks so much for being on the inaugural episode of Vox
Absolutely.
Talks. I got a
Absolutely
feeling
love it.
that we've got more of these in our future, man. And just want to say thanks so much. I appreciate always being able to get games in you, but I feel like what's one of the things too that we'll kind of speak on, right, is the sense of community that we got where we've ultimately become friends, right? Like
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
we talk daily
Correct. Yep.
in a random Discord server, and we
Yes.
kinda just know what's going on,
Multiple.
yeah,
Multiple Discord
yes,
servers. Yeah. Yeah. The
and
4 or
none of that
5 or 6 or whatever we're in.
I
Yeah.
know, I've started to lost count. I've never used Discord as much until I started playing Warhammer,
Right. Right.
but it's been a blast, man, and I just wanna say thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed this.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I'll be back whenever you bring me on, to be honest.
Absolutely,
So,
brother.
yeah, take care.